Hey, folks, how's it going? Hope you're doing well out there. Thanks for joining me. As you can see, I'm in my temporary setup here, going through some life changes, some moves, and all that shit. So, yeah, I just got to do this weird thing with a fake plant behind me for a while, and then we'll make it look more legit down the road. Uh, we'll get it fixed up. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to get into this week tonight. I'm going to get into the epidemic, the infestation. It's what it is, right? An infestation of dollar stores that is killing this country. Um, and and by design, like it's not like it's an accident. Oh, whoop! Like they know what they're doing, and they are doing it aggressively. And there are new numbers showing how horribly dollar stores, which is there's many of them. There's dollar stores, there's Dollar General, there's Family Dollar, which apparently you only allowed in there if you're holding hands with at least 8 people at once. Family Dollar. Uh, they're all doing it. Some of them are part of the same company, I think, but I don't know. But yeah, so I'm gonna dig into that in a minute. I'm gonna get into the continued fight over Cop City in Atlanta. They continue to arrest people for domestic terrorism, for simply protesting this paramilitary dystopian hellhole. And they've now arrested a legal observer for domestic terror. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to get into the hilarious U.S. government response. They're not calling it a response, but response to Seymour Hersh's piece, which revealed that the U.S. had really, without a shadow of a doubt, been the ones to blow up the Nord Stream pipeline, which of course makes 100% sense. It makes that 100 cents, full dollar. It's the dollar store general of bullshit is the U.S. government response. So basically, this is what I'm going to talk about. But the U.S. government and the mainstream media realized they had to do something to stop the avalanche of truth that was just pummeling them on Nord Stream. So we'll get into the hilarious new explanation the U.S. has for who and why the Nord Stream pipeline was blown up. And just for a little cherry on top, little dessert on top of today's episode, I am going to talk about how, Tucker Carlson, his true opinions about his viewers and what he talked about on air have been revealed. And I know that this is a common CNN talking point right now. They're bloviating about it plenty, and I don't often cover things in the same way that CNN would, which I won't cover this in the same way either. But I think that no matter if you think Tucker Carlson has done a good thing here or a good thing there, I even, in many positive regards, covered his episode on the CIA, in his words, possibly killing Kennedy. They did, but I've even covered his piece positively on that. But whether you think he's done something positive here or there, he is a racist shitbag when you add it all up. And when you really look at what he does. And so there's no reason you need to defend him. There is no reason you need to sit there being like, but Tucker Carlson did the thing I liked the one time. Doesn't matter. Still corporate media, still mainstream media. In fact, not only is he mainstream media, he is the most watched show on mainstream media. I think still the most watched show on mainstream media, or one of them, if not the most. And so he's mainstream media, he's corporate media, and he's utter shitfest. And he has now been revealed because his texts in this ongoing trial have been revealed. So we'll get into the details of that. And listen, if you love Tucker Carlson, then don't be mad at me. Just listen to the texts I'm going to read later in the show and see if you like him. See if you like what he's saying. just give because it's not me, it's him. It's not. But also you shouldn't like him because he is a lying sack of shit. All right, let's do it. Please hit thumbs up. Please hit like. Please hit all that stuff. As you can see, although I'm in my temporary setting here, my temporary bunker, which sucks having a glass window bunker because you don't. It's not going to survive much. If you have glass windows on your bunker. Whoever directed you to build it that way they were off. They were off. But even though I'm in my temporary, this may well be the standard time that I do these live streams is 8 p.m. Eastern going forward. We'll see. Some shift may come later, but for right now, I think I'm sticking with 8 p.m. Eastern. So I know I've been doing them for a long time at 2 p.m. Eastern, but this will they'll begin being at 8 p.m. Eastern. But you can always rewatch these later. If 8 p.m. is not good for you, watch them later. Okay, let's get to the dollar store invasion that is destroying this country. And yes, this is very similar to what Walmart did, but even in many regards worse, more locations, etc. And it really is an infestation. It's of a level that you can't imagine. The number of stores that are popping up and what they're doing and how they're doing it is really horrific. And it is a sign, I saw someone also mention in the chat, it is a sign of late stage capitalism. It is a sign of a collapsing country where there is no middle class. It is now insanely rich people and poor people. That's mainly what we have left. And the poor people are resorting to whatever is the easiest way to survive, which is the cheapest products they can find. And so you have this Dollar General invasion. Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and Family Dollar are targeting vulnerable communities, opening stores at breakneck pace in urban and rural areas alike. And I've driven across a lot of this country. I've seen a lot of this country. And if you go to smaller areas that are not really big cities, it is a Dollar General paradise. In every third block, there is a dollar something. And it speaks to what most towns in America have become. When you have a capitalist system that goes for profit all over all else, it sucks the profit out of the people, out of an area, and then you have mainly poor people remaining, and then they try and survive by buying the cheapest products they can. They don't have the money in general, maybe the time, but the money in general to go, you know what? I'm going to that little community store because I want to support the community, and I know it's a mom and pop store, and that money will stay in the community. It won't be shipped to wherever the fuck Dollar Tree is headquartered, and it'll be right in the, I'll keep it in the community. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to pay about 25% more on every product. And that's the reality of it. They're not doing that. Most people are not doing that, because most people don't have the money to dump into doing that. And so they go to the cheapest place. They go to that dollar store where the products are cheap as fuck, and they do evaporate in your fingers. I mean, they're made generally in China, although everything we own is still, everything in America is still made in China, but they're made in China. They're literally $1 or $2. And they're made usually out of it's like the remnants of hopes and dreams. They take the leftover polishings. Once they've shipped the hope and dreams somewhere else, they take the stuff they've carved off, the polishings, the scraps, and they melt that together. And that is what they use to make the products at Dollar General. And, a lot of them are toxic. A lot of them are awful. And again, I am not insulting the people that shop there regularly. I think the people that shop there regularly are doing that out of necessity. There are very few people in this country that think, I have lots of money or even just enough money. I'm middle class, and I'm going to go to Dollar General most of the time rather than go to places that where the stuff is not straight up toxic. No, well, the people shopping there are shopping there out of necessity. But anyway, let's get into some of the numbers. The evidence suggests that dollar stores are not merely byproducts of economic distress; they are the cause of it. Through predatory tactics, the dollar chains are killing off grocery stores and other local businesses, leaving communities with fewer jobs, diminished access to basic goods, and dimmer prospects for overall well-being. And I will just add in here that although they're correct that dollar stores are partially the cause of some of this economic distress. They're the cause of it because they are on the trajectory of capitalism. Like, this is, if it weren't dollar stores, it'd be something that would bubble up, that be vomited out towards the end of late stage capitalism to extract the last remaining dollars out of the people. So while I agree that, yes, Dollar General is doing a lot of harm, it's not like if they didn't exist, it's not like there wouldn't be others. As there was Walmart before Dollar General came along, and Walmart obviously is still around, still destroying communities. The evidence suggests that dollar stores, oh, sorry, I did that. As these losses mount, dollar stores are facing a rising tide of grassroots opposition. Over the last couple of years, scores of cities and towns have blocked the chains from opening new stores. Local action alone is not enough. However, federal policymakers also need to address the ways in which misguided policies, particularly those governing antitrust and finance, are fueling the destructive proliferation of dollar stores. Now, here I'll add in a little extra on this as well. Yes, they're right that regulation to stop dollar stores would be lovely. It would make some difference for a time. But there's a reason there will be no federal regulation on these types of stores. Because our government does not serve us. They don't serve us at all. They don't serve, and they certainly don't serve the poor. Nothing goes through Congress. You guys are probably tired of me mentioning this. Nothing goes through Congress that does not align with corporate America. And obviously, dollar is now one of the most powerful entities in corporate America. In fact, they're one of the biggest gainers during the pandemic was dollar stores. And the families that own those dollar stores became, some of the biggest gaining billionaires. But our Congress, our government, our presidency, all of it, they're not going to truly regulate these entities because they're fucking owned by these entities. They are these entities. They are Dollar General. They are these horrific. They are big oil. They are big pharma. They are these horrific entities, big ag and big fucking sugar and all of them. And people have said that Congress should wear the logos of each brand that has bought them out. And it would show. The problem is on a jacket, like a NASCAR jacket, the problem is there wouldn't be enough room on the jacket. You have every APAC lobby, every fucking BlackRock, Blackstone, the number of labels on our Congress people it'd just be too many. They'd have to walk around. It'd be they'd have to have a train, like a wedding dress train, like the largest, some sort of emperor getting married train on the wedding dress. They'd have to have that behind them with all the logos down the train with like a bunch of unpaid interns carrying it. That's the only way they could have all of the brands glued onto them at all times. So while this article is saying something lovely that government should regulate this, fucking not going to do it. Not going to happen. Last year, now listen to some of these numbers. They even blew me away. Last year, nearly half of new stores that opened in the U.S. were chain dollar stores. Half of every new store opening is a fucking dollar store. A degree of momentum with no parallel in the history of the retail industry. At the start of 2022, Dollar General and Dollar Tree, which owns Family Dollar, together operate. I heard they bought it for $1. Funny, right? Together operated more than 34,000 stores in the U.S., more than McDonald's, Starbucks, Target, and Walmart combined. If someone said to you right now, there is a type of store that has more locations in America than McDonald's, Starbucks, Target, and Walmart combined, would you go, oh yeah, of course? Or would you go, no, there's not? Those are the biggest ones. McDonald's, Starbucks, Target, and Walmart. Those are the most stores. Dollar stores, more than those combined. 34,000 locations. Somebody do the math. How many thousand how many, not thousand, how many hundred locations per state is that? Over the last 4 years, Dollar General has added about 3,500 locations, opening more than 100 new stores across New York, 200 in Ohio, 300 in Texas, bringing its roster to more than 18,000 stores. That's just Dollar General, so that's just one of them. That's why that number is less than 34,000. And cementing its status as the largest retailer in the U.S. by number of locations. This year, Dollar General and Dollar Tree together are on track to open 1,700 new stores, and both report that they identified many more locations. I love the identified locations. What do you think they identified? Oh, they found poor people. Oh, they found there's poor people in America. In the coming years, they plan to grow their combined empire to more than 51,000 outlets. This is while Starbucks is like closing up a lot of its shops, and many of the other retailers are, right? Macy's and all these. While they're doing that, dollar stores are aiming to soon have 51,000 locations. Now I can do that math. That's over 1,000 per state. Did that in my head. That's right. I mean, it really is an infestation, and it's infestation due to the fact that our society has been crushed and these towns are crushed. And so you have far more poor people. You have no, like, driving through your average American town, and I don't mean the big cities. So, there's thousands of American cities, and there's probably 50 big ones or less. And so when you're driving through all the other ones that are not these major cities, in many of them, this is not true for all of them, but in many of them, the sense of community is gone. It's just a series of houses, and then there'll be one little street that has like it says like chocolate shop, where it's spelled SHOPPE, and they're like, oh, ye old chocolate shop, that's adorables. And like there'll be 2 blocks of that. And other than that, there's no community to speak of. There's no, like, people don't get together for shit. It's just been this sense of life and I don't know. And collectiveness is that we're in this together. It's all been just pillaged. And now, yeah, we all fight for liberty, but it's really the liberty to live alone in a house and never see anyone, which you could do that, but it'd be nice if the United States had any community left. And so these dollar stores move into those areas, mainly. I mean, they're in big cities as well. They move into the poorer areas of big cities, but in these smaller areas, they move in and they destroy we still use the term mom and pop, but not just mom and pop. They destroy the non-chain stores, the community stores, community anything, because no one can compete with those prices. Why can no one compete with those prices? Well, because like Walmart, the Dollar General and Dollar Everything is going to scan the world for the cheapest version of whatever, and they get those companies to give them crazy deals because they have so many locations. They can say let's say, Colgate toothpaste is sold at Dollar General. I don't know if it is or not, but let's say it is. And it's sold for whatever cheap amount, $1. Let's come up with some crazy number, $1. The reason that can happen, sometimes it's off-brand stuff. So it'll be like college toothpaste. And you're like, what the fuck is college toothpaste? It'll be, instead of Rice Krispies, it's like Snip, Crinkle, and Poop. You're like, Snip, Crinkle, and Poop. I don't know that one. It's got like all the off brands that are almost there. Many of us grew up on them. We're like, Mom, why do we have to eat Snip, Crinkle, and Poop? Can't we have the Snap, Crackle, and Pop? No. You eat your Snip, Crinkly Poop, and you shut it. This is what we're eating. I'm not bitter. But And so it can say to these companies, even the off-brand companies, it can say, we'll put you in every store which are heavily frequented across this country if you lower your price to whatever. And they can get it. Walmart does the same thing. Walmart will pressure. I saw some little brief documentary on it. Walmart will pressure sellers, even small sellers, they're like, look, we'll put you in every Walmart. This is one of the largest stores on the planet. But you got to, you want to sell each product to us for 50 cents a piece. Get it down to 10 and we'll put it in every store. And the people do it because they are like, well, we don't really have a choice. And it's just, so yeah, they have the cheapest prices, which then destroys the community because average community stores can't compete. Dollar General and Dollar Tree and its subsidiary Family Dollar single out communities that have been marginalized economically and politically. In urban areas, they blanket Black and Latino neighborhoods, opening multiple outlets near one another. This carpet bombing strategy undermines existing food stores, especially the independent grocery stores that often serve these communities, and makes it hard for new businesses to take root and grow, effectively locking in neighborhood deprivation. Yeah, and that's the other thing is once these fucking leeches, once these parasites, once these vampires come into town, there's no like once they've become established, so I'm not saying protesters can't stop it, but once it's become established, it's not like some community store is going to pop up and compete with these stores, or very unlikely. So it just guts the community and they become unstoppable. Anyway, remember those numbers. If anyone asks you for an example of how the United States is in a late stage capitalism, tell them that dollar stores now have 34,000 locations, which is more than McDonald's, Starbucks, Target, and Walmart combined. Doing great, folks. We're doing great. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. I'm going to do an episode soon on how we're also one of the biggest. Our country sells more blood. Like people donate their blood for money more than any other country. And it's to be able to, that's the next step is you go into that'll be the next step in late stage capitalism. You go into Dollar General, you pick out your three, your Pop-Tarts or whatever, your Pop-Tarts and your hair gel, and they cost $2, and you don't have the money, so they just bleed you right there at the store. They're like Dollar General will fuse with blood sucking donor drive centers, and you can just pay at like a cashier will just stab you with a needle and suck your plasma or whatever the fuck. And you just pay that way. So you skip the middleman of them giving you $30 and they can just stab you in the neck, suck your blood, and then you get your Pop-Tarts, your off-brand Pop-Tarts called Poop Tarts. I'm sorry to go with two Poop Tarts in a row, but I felt like it'd be a good callback to the Snip Crinkle Poop. So it wasn't like, oh, I got to do more poop jokes. It was just, I like a good callback. So you understand, you get it. And by the way, even though I just made up that joke about Dollar General stabbing you in the neck, I may very well use that on the most censored news episode on U.S. donating blood, because I feel like I liked it. And so if you hear it again, don't be mad at me. It will be, I will be reusing something I used a week before, but you got to see it first. And so I feel like you should be proud. You should be like, I saw when they made that up on the spot. All right. Okay. So let's get into, quick promo. If you guys enjoy podcasts, I have 3 of them. I hope you'll check them out. One of them is just the audio from shows like this. It's called Most Moment of Clarity. It's also called The Lee Camp Show on Spotify because they banned me. So if you want to hear this stuff, but you listen to podcasts more and you don't have time to watch it, then go grab Moment of Clarity / Lee Camp Show. Also, I have Government Secrets, which we bring you the dirty secrets of the U.S. government every week. And also I have Common Censored with Eleanor Goldfield. So I hope you don't miss those. I hope you check those out. All right. Let's get into how Atlanta police are now even arresting legal observers and charging them. Actually, I'll show you this one first. Legal observers and charging them with terrorism. Now, for those of you who have never been to a protest, lots of times there will be legal observers there, and they're lawyers who are basically donating their time to say, and they usually have on little strangely covered hats, neon hats, to let everyone know, hey, I'm a legal observer. And mainly they serve as a bit of a wall between the cops and the protesters at times. I don't mean they actually physically put themselves between, but it makes the cops think twice, because the cops go, oh, there are literally lawyers standing around watching what we're doing, filming what we're doing, and they actually know the law. And so lots of times it will have a chilling effect on police brutality at protests to see the legal observers there. So it serves a real purpose. And a lot of the legal observers are fucking awesome people. They're doing the Lord's work, doing something important. And rarely will you ever hear of cops arresting legal observers, because they're not that dumb. I mean, cops are dumb, a lot of them, but they're not that dumb. They know that it will look bad. They know it'll often get media coverage. They know it'll that usually a legal observer has the ability to legally represent themselves and make the police department look bad if it goes to court. So there's a lot of reason they don't arrest legal observers generally. But the shit in Atlanta is getting so crazy that these dystopian level cops are now arresting legal observers, and I've never heard of this next part before, charging them with terrorism. Because apparently standing and observing the brutality and abuse of our police system is now terrorism. But you'll also find fascinating under what legal precedent the cops are now doing this. So they charged a lot of the protesters with terrorism, by the way. At least 23 protesters have been charged with domestic terrorism amid a week of action against construction of Cop City in Atlanta, a proposed $90 million police training complex. Atlanta police detained 35 people and arrested 23 on the night of March 5th. They claimed for vandalism against Cop City construction site and violence towards police. So I've covered Cop City on multiple episodes. They're building, like it said, a $90 million police training facility, but it's also going to be used for Hollywood movies. And it also is knocking down one of the little remaining forest, and the little bit of remaining forest in Atlanta is being knocked down to do this, 100 acres worth. Activists dispute the narrative coming from the cops, while video footage shows a small group torching the construction site and throwing fireworks towards police. According to activists, none of the 35 people detained were detained at the construction site itself. Those fighting Cop City have now directed energy towards dropping charges against the 23 who were arrested and facing hefty domestic terrorism charges. One of those was a legal observer for the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, wait till you hear the legal basis that these police are using to arrest people. Almost all of them nonviolent protesters. I get that they're saying some people lit a fire or something, but it's not even clear that anyone they arrested was involved in that. On top of that, you really shouldn't include property destruction in violence. These are two different, like, violence towards a person is different than breaking a window. But anyway, that being said, how do they justify bringing terrorism charges against nonviolent protesters, including a legal observer? Well, police have slapped these massive charges on protesters following unrest as a response to the police killing of anti-Cop City activist Tortuguita earlier in February, which you might have heard me cover that before. They literally they murdered someone that was a nonviolent protester at these protests. And then the camera, what do they call them? The fucking police camera footage. It came out, and you can overhear them saying they shot their own man. So basically, cops shot cops, which caused the cops to respond by killing a protester. And that's not the narrative the police want to reveal. But what is the legal basis for charging these people with domestic terrorism? Georgia's domestic terrorism law was passed in 2017 in part as a response to a mass shooting against black churchgoers in South Carolina, carried out by white supremacist Dylan Roof. The law loosened the definition of domestic terrorism from an act intended to kill or injure at least 10 people to any felony intended to intimidate the civilian population or alter, change, or coerce the policy of the government. Do you have any idea the number of protests that are done to try to coerce the policy of the government? That is most protests. Like, that is the goal of protest, is to coerce our government to change. And they passed some fucking law in Georgia that basically made it legal for them to arrest any protester and charge them with terrorism. I mean, that's fucking straight up fascism is what it is. Many at the time warned that this would be turned against left-wing protesters. What? Rather than white supremacists, a prediction which proved accurate. So yet again, we're seeing exactly what many said would happen with these types of laws, saying that cops can charge people with terrorism. Sure enough, being used against left-wing protests. Far less likely they're being used against white supremacists because in our cop system is a white supremacist system. So they're far more eager to go after the left-wing protesters than white supremacists. But here they are arresting legal observers, people with little hats on, saying, I'm one of the good guy lawyers here to watch things, arresting them for terrorism. You know, when you view making sure you aren't breaking the law as terrorism, then I think you might think about what you stand for, because I think you might be on the fascist side of things. Hey, thanks, James. I appreciate it. Appreciate the donation. By the way, if others of you want to support my show, please become a member at leecamp.net. And of course, for free, you can click follow or subscribe. You can click follow on Rumble, rumble.com/leecamp, which is where I'll be heading in a minute. I'm hoping to get to 40,000 very soon, 40,000 followers. And I'd love for you to be a part of that. Join up there. But also join up at leecamp.net. That's the main way to support this show and keep my stuff going. As I'm going through this this transition of a couple months, hopefully I'll have a more steady background. That's what I need. I need a more steady background soon. But anyway, we're going to move on to this Nord Stream story. The U.S. government's hilarious explanation as to who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, and the mainstream media, of course, fawning over this explanation. But I'm also going to cover Tucker Carlson's latest bullshit, how he's been revealed as a fraud. Now, anybody who studies mainstream media and corporate media knows that they're all frauds, and Tucker is one of them, and so he is also a fraud. But, you know, it's good to see the proof. Like I say, a lot of you may have assumed these things, but it's good to see the evidence. It's good to see the actual text, the actual documents, and so you can go, oh, okay, I get it. I get it now. All right, I am putting. I'll put the Rumble link in the chat. Just give me 1 second here, so you don't have to do all the work of going to rumble.com and figuring out. All right, I just put it in the chat of the other sites. So join me. If you're not at rumble.com/leecamp, it's free to go over there. Join me over there, and we will continue this live stream right now. Well, in another second.